again, and I'm with indigenousmedicine.net. Please feel free to contact me if you'd like a consultation. Um, and my website is indigenousmedicine.net. Today, I'm just going to share a few minutes about um, improving your digestion. So there's two parts of your digestion that are really important to remember. There's the bile that's in your gallbladder, and it actually drops onto all the food that comes out of your stomach with all the acid from your stomach. And when that mixes, it's like vinegar and baking soda. It basically blows everything up and makes a lot of nutrients available to be absorbed. If your bile isn't flowing very well, and the acid just comes in, it will start to almost burn the tissue. There'll be water that flushes into the small intestine, and the peristalsis will speed up, and you will not absorb your nutrients very well. If your bile comes out, but your acid is very weak, what will happen is that everything will move very slowly, and that could actually even help to cause constipation as well. So it's really important to make sure that your acid is really strong. These are really basic foundations of health, and they're really overlooked by a lot of people. There's all kinds of like fantastic ways to measure things, like the whole gut biome, the good bacteria that's in the gut, as well as things that can get into the stomach, that can actually cause you to burp and cause issues. Simply by increasing the acid in your stomach, a lot of these things will go away in the stomach. Like a lot of people don't think about why pylori, C. pylori is actually, they go to actually try to really get rid of that particular thing by taking something to destroy it. But really, if the stomach acid is really strong, what will happen is if it starts to rise, there's a sphincter um, that will actually in the esophagus stop the acid from going any further. And then when the acid gets weaker, it actually won't activate that, and the acid will actually be able to come up and burn. And so there's a lot of different approaches of how to strengthen the stomach acid, but really that's the foundation. That's the gateway that things can get through and make it into your system. As long as you keep your acid in your stomach strong, you won't have an issue. And so things that are actually um, reducing the strength of the acid in your stomach, like Tums, for instance. Um, Nothing against them personally, but this is not like going to help your health. It actually will decrease your health and make your digestive problems worse. Your food won't come out of your stomach very much acidified or broken down, and you'll end up with some constipation. So, um, you want the stomach acid to be really strong, and you need your bile to move too. So there's lots of things to move the bile. Your bile won't move just by opening up the bile duct. It has to actually be alkaline in nature and flow that way. So there's some wonderful things that we can suggest to utilize to do that, but just look it up. Look up bile flow and look up strengthen your stomach acid. The bacteria in your intestines are actually fed by eating food that's really appropriate for your constitution, your genetic disposition. If you're more catabolic dominant, the foods that are recommended in traditional medicine systems for, say, pitta, dosha, or trippa, um, these things are cooling foods, and they tend to be like bitter and sweet and astringent. Those things will actually feed the proper bacteria to make your gut biome correct. All right. It's actually if you're more anabolic dominant, you're going to be more cold and more tend towards constipation and weaker stomach acid. If you're catabolic dominant, you're going to tend to have an issue with your bile flowing, and you'll tend towards more diarrhea. So If you're anabolic dominant, the foods that you eat that actually help to feed the good bacteria are the foods that would normally be recommended for kapha, dosha, or what we would call bedkin in traditional Tibetan medicine. And these are more spicy foods, salty, sour, these type of tastes. Okay, so we'll go into the taste and but to improve your digestion, you have to also, one foundational rule is not eat until your stomach is full. You want to eat until you have about 75% of stuff in your tummy and leave 25% space. You should also be leaving maybe 25-30% of liquid. Okay, so there should be like liquid, food, and space. And because of the conventional habits that a lot of people are into in the West with maybe our consumer culture, we tend to eat until our stomach is completely full, and then there's the conventional suggestions in and kind of holistic natural medicine not to drink with your food. Well, that's only necessary if you're completely filling your stomach up with food, and you're not going to be digesting your food that well then, either way. So what you should do is make sure you have some liquid with your food, maybe 35% of each, or 50% food, 25% liquid, however you want to do it. But there should be almost as much liquid as food, and then you want space as well in your stomach so that the food can move around and do what it needs to do. If you experience discomfort before you eat, we usually say that that's an issue with what we call the wind, which comes from emptiness in the system, sense of emptiness sometimes, or maybe you're not eating that much, or maybe you're just having a very strong nervous system disorder, like you're anxious, or you're really depressed, or you're really that kind of thing. If you have discomfort after you eat, if you have discomfort after you eat, that means that you actually have a catabolic or dysaerobic dominance, and this is what we would also call a pitta dosha, or tripa in Tibetan medicine. So you should adjust it accordingly. If you have issue, if you're feeling discomfort while you're eating, then that is an issue with what you might call an anabolic dominance, or anaerobic dominance in the system, also known as kapha, or bedkin, while you're eating, if you get that discomfort then. If it's so there's some really quick pointers on how to help do your digestion. I'm no longer giving free 15-minute consultations. If you want an initial consultation, please get in touch with me and I'll be happy to help you. Okay, thank you, and have a wonderful evening.